Learning to lament, finding refuge in our grief. This meditation invites us to a prayer practice of lament, which is to connect with and express our feelings of grief, to feel and express that pain or loss we are experiencing, and to find refuge in God's presence within our grief. This prayer invites you to openly share the grief in your life with God and find comfort in expressing these unfamiliar and confusing emotions. After finding a quiet, comfortable place to pray, you can light a candle as a symbol of God's presence with you. We will begin by spending a few moments becoming aware of God's presence with us. Begin by breathing deeply and slowly in and out. With eyes closed or lowered, allow yourself to sink into the space, softening your shoulders, your neck, anywhere that you are sensing tension. And you might imagine that God is with you, next to you, praying alongside you. Imagine a sacred space or a refuge within your own heart. This might look like a small prayer room or a sanctuary, or you might choose a biblical image like a cave, a strong tower, or maybe being held in God's hand or under a protective wing. Choose a refuge that makes sense to you. Where in this space you feel a sense of protection, of care, and groundedness. Imagine that in this space, you feel a sense of being loved. And here's where your memories of those people in your life that make you feel safe and cared for reside. You move around your refuge, noticing all the people and the memories that have shaped and formed you. Give yourself a few moments to be in this refuge, in this sacred space. You notice that God is standing next to you. And God leads you to a wooden box. As the box is opened, inside you see an object that symbolizes your grief. your sense of sadness or loss. God invites you to take that object of your grief out of the box. And you reach in and pull out this object that represents your grief. And then God asks you to share about what this grief means, what this loss, this confusion or sadness is. For the next few moments, tell God all about it. As you look up at God, you sense that you are listened to, that you are being listened to with care and compassion. And then God asks to hold this grief for you. You reach out your hand and release the object for God to hold. Notice what it is like to let this grief be held for you. While holding your grief, you walk to a small altar in your refuge where God lays your grief on the altar. Then you both walk out from your refuge, out into a green meadow where you see a giant oak tree and golden sunshine. You lie back on the grass and stare up at the blue sky. Feeling the warmth of the sun on your face. For the next few moments, rest in this place, basking in the warmth, remembering what it felt like to release grief to God's hands. And when you're ready, you can offer a prayer of thanks to God for this time, for what you experienced. Amen.